You'll see. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Stella, in studio with co-host Jay Dash. We're bringing our extra bases segment at you today. Mostly just going to talk about playoff baseball, though. Correct, Dash?
Yeah, we're just taking a look at the playoff preview for each squad here. We're going to start with these two wild card games, and the first wild card game is on Tuesday, and that's the AL wild card. And it's the Houston Astros at the New York Yankees. Now, you look,
Yankees!
The Houston Astros were on top of the West for most of the season.
They lost it.
Yeah, they almost lost it. In fact, they only beat out the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim by one game, really.
When you go 33-48 away from home.
That's the problem right there. Look, and this game is in New York as well. Like you said, they're not good on the road. Look, 53-28 at home. But like you said, just 33 wins on the road this season.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so that is one weakness going into this game for the Astros. Then you take a look at the New York Yankees. They went 87-75 this season. They've been pretty consistent home to road, 45-36 at home this season. One of their weaknesses is their pitching staff. However, since this is only a one-game playoff, they don't have to worry about the rotation until they win this game. And Masahiro Tanaka is a good pitcher, a nice ace to have to start in this one-game wild card. He's 12-7 this season with a 3.51 ERA, and he'll actually be pitching on 6 days rest, so he's going to have a little bit more rest than he usually does. But a couple things going for the Astros are they were second in baseball with 230 home runs this season, and playing in New York, this is one of the best hitters' parks in baseball to hit home runs. Now, you could say the Yankees can hit home runs too, and they can.
Hey,
there's no doubt about it. But Dallas Keuchel is one of the best pitchers in baseball, keeping the ball on the ground. He is also a Cy Young candidate at this point. David Price is probably going to win it, but Keuchel's right up there with him. He's 20-8 on the season, a 2.48 ERA. However, he's actually going to be pitching on short rest, and that is not good news for Houston. I mean, he might pitch okay in this game, but you don't want to start your playoff stretch by having your ace already pitching on short rest heading into that wild card game. That looks like a little bit of bad management right there to not give him the amount of rest that he should require at this point.
I'm not counting Houston out because anything can happen, but they have the least road wins out of any playoff team in the American League or the National League. They're a young team. Keuchel's on short rest. I don't see them coming out victorious in this game. It's not even because of the Yankees. You know, obviously I've been talking them up all year. That's got nothing to do with it. I just think it's a perfect storm of bad things for the Astros in this wild card game.
Like I said, they do have Dallas Keuchel going for him, though, and he can keep the ball on the ground, so that could hurt that Yankees lineup a little bit. And if you look, the Astros won the season series 4-3 and outscored the Yankees 36-17 in those games. So the Astros have handled New York pretty well this year. The winner of this game, they're going to go on to face the Kansas City Royals in a 5-game series.
And they're going to lose if it's the Astros. The Yankees are going to win the World Series.
You're dead wrong. Look, I'm going to take the Astros to win this game. Obviously, you're going to take the Yankees to win this game. No matter who wins this game, I think that's all the further they go. I don't think the Yankees have the type of pitching staff that you need in the playoffs outside of Masahiro Tanaka, man. I mean, they have Michael Pineda and CC Sabathia. Now, I do like Luis Severino, but this guy's a rookie, no playoff experience. While the Houston Astros, I don't see them making it past the ALDS just because of that experience. I mean, no one on this team really has any playoff experience right now. So, yeah, I'm going to say Astros in this game, but I'm saying whoever wins this game, I don't think they're going to go very far in the playoffs.
Yankees win this game big. A-Rod, 3 home runs. Then they're going to go and play the Royals and sweep them.
All right, moving on. NL wild card. The Chicago Cubs at the Pittsburgh Pirates. The winner
Pirates are going to lose.
Shut up, man. The winner of this game is going to face the St. Louis Cardinals, the only team to win 100. So, you think the Cardinals are going to beat the Cubs or the Pirates no matter who? See, I completely disagree with that. I think the Cardinals are struggling mightily right now, and they're going to have problems with whoever wins this game. But if you look, the Cubs won the season series between them and the Pirates 11-8 this year, and The Pirates, yeah, they're sitting at 53-28 at home this season after going 98-64 overall, while the Chicago Cubs, they went 97-65 overall, and they've been a pretty good road team as well. They're 48-33 on the road this season, and this is a matchup of aces pretty much, and the best ace in the game right now is probably Jake Arrieta. This guy has been dominating over the past couple months pretty much. He's 22-6 this season, a 1.77 ERA. Against the Pirates, he's 3-1 with an 0.75 ERA in 5 starts. He's going to be pitching on normal rest. And then there's Garrett Cole on the other side for the Pittsburgh Pirates, 19-8, a 2.60 ERA, and he's pitched well against the Cubs as well. 2-1 with a 2.13 ERA in 4 starts, and he's actually going to be pitching on extra rest, so there's no problems there. But whoever does win this game, either Cole or Arrieta, they're only going to be able to pitch once in the next series in St. Louis just because of this game right here, which is going to hurt them in the long run.
You got to win this game to even get there, though, so you got to put both these guys out there.
When you look at the offense of these two teams, they're probably the best offenses in the NL that's in the playoffs right now, the Pirates and the Cubs. The Cubs, they hit home runs. They hit a bunch of home runs. That's why it's nice for the Pittsburgh Pirates that this game is at home, because this is a pitcher's ballpark, and the Pirates, they built their team to PNC Park. They're more of a speed-type team, you know what I mean? While if this game was in Chicago, the Cubs would definitely have the advantage because that is a hitter's ballpark, and this Cubs team can knock the ball around.
Well, let me ask you this. Not that the Pirates are dragging ass into the playoffs or anything, because they're playing good ball right now too, but the Cubs have won 8 straight. They're on fire. They're carrying that momentum in, and I'm a believer in momentum when it comes to sports. I know some people aren't, but athletes are some of the most superstitious people in the world. And if these Cubs players feel like they could do it, I said this earlier in the year, they may be too young to even know what they're getting themselves into. You know what I mean? Like, these guys really don't even quite get how big of the stage that they're actually on. They've arrived so much earlier than we all thought. So the Cubs could be fired up coming into this ball game, and I think not that it's going to cause the Pirates to lose, but they got to watch, and they got to get out to an early lead, the Pirates. If they let the Cubs get out to an early lead in the first, second, third innings, I think that's going to be bad for Pittsburgh.
I don't think the Pirates have to get out to an early lead. I think it would be bad for the Pirates if the Cubs got out to an early lead, though, because if you give Jake Arrieta a lead, you're almost done. I mean, this game should be a pitcher's duel, and that's what I expect in this game. And Garrett Cole's going to have to match Arrieta in this game, and one of these teams are going to have to get someone on base and then get the big hit, the big home run, and maybe you win 2-0 or 2-1 in that game. And I think that is how it's going to end up, because I think both of these pitchers are going to shut these offenses down. And if you want to see a more in-depth preview of this game, we are doing a NL wildcard preview between these two teams, so go check that out.
Is Cole too emotional? Do you think on the mound for this game, you think that could work against him?
No, I wouldn't say so. He's been pitching well all season. He's always been emotional. It's no big deal to me.
It's like a woman out there.
Says the biggest AJ Burnett fan.
Love AJ.
All right, let's move on to the American League Division Series here. It's going to be the Texas Rangers at the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, the Blue Jays won the season series 4-2 against the Rangers, and they outscored them 34-21 in those games. The Texas Rangers, they're 45-36 away, so they're a pretty good road team. And this is a team that really wasn't in the playoff picture for much of the season. At the deadline, they went and got Cole Hamels, not even thinking that was for a playoff push, more for next year to go along with Yu Darvish in the rotation, and they just started killing the ball and winning games, and they're actually 38-22 since the trade deadline ended, and they got themselves back in this playoff race, made it to the playoffs, but against the Toronto Blue Jays, it's going to be tough for them because the Blue Jays, since the deadline, 40-18 since they dealt for David Price and Tulowitzki. Now, Tulowitzki, he missed time. He wasn't playing that great for Toronto, but he's coming back healthy now, and Josh Donaldson went on a tear the second half of the season. How many RBIs does this guy have? We don't know for sure.
Beast mode.
Yeah, 130, 140 RBIs, something like that. Ridiculous. But like I said, they brought in David Price, and this is who's going to be starting Game 1 for the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, he's been pitching very well, probably going to win the Cy Young. He's 18-5 this season with the 2.45 ERA. And then Marcus Stroman, they got him back healthy. He went down before the season started. A lot of people thought he was going to miss the entirety of the season. he made it back, and look, he's 4-0 with a 1.67 ERA right now. So they have a nice 1-2, and Marco Estrada's pitching great right now with a 3.13 ERA, and then R.A. Dickey can be a solid fourth pitcher for him in the playoffs when they need that fourth pitcher. Now, if they don't need the fourth pitcher, they're going to go right back to David Price whenever they can. But it's all about this offense, really, with the Toronto Blue Jays. They have the best offense in baseball, obviously. Led the league with 891 runs scored this season, which is a beast mode. But with David Price and Marcus Stroman giving them the good 1-2 combo for this rotation, I think it's going to be real hard for someone to knock off the Toronto Blue Jays, especially in a 5 to 7 game series.
One of the rare cases the Blue Jays won the trade deadline and it actually carried them into the playoffs. When we did our trade deadline segment, we talked about teams that win the deadline don't always necessarily make it, and it was a good
It
move by
usually
the
never
Blue Jays.
works out. But yeah, I mean, this offense is so beast mode right now. Too bad for them they don't have Devon Travis back as well. He looked like one of the best second basemen in baseball when he was healthy. He went down for the season, but they really haven't missed a beat since then. And getting Tulowitzki back, I mean, this team is going to be very, very hard to beat. And the rotation that's going to have to try to beat them, the Texas Rangers, they got Cole Hamels. He's going to start game one, most obviously. He's 13-8 with a 3.65 ERA. And then you got Derek Holland, who has a 4.91 ERA. Colby Lewis, a 4.66 ERA. Yovani Gallardo, a 3.42 ERA. And they could start Martin Perez as well if they really needed to. He has a 4.46 ERA. Those ERAs, a little bit misleading. They're all better pitchers than that. But I just don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Blue Jays in this series.
Blue Jays are definitely moving on. Maybe not to the World Series, but they're going to get past the Rangers.
Prince Fielder's still the man, though.
Believe it.
Now, the other American League Division Series game, it's either going to be the Astros or the Yankees versus the Kansas City Royals, like we mentioned before. The Astros won the season series versus the Royals 4-2. But like I said, Keuchel would actually end up pitching Game 3 in this series, which it would hurt for the Houston Astros. They need this guy to pitch as much as he can for them to win in this series. He's definitely their best pitcher, and the fact that he's going to pitch Game 3, that means he's only going to pitch one game in this series. So other pitchers like Scott Kazmir, Colin McHugh, Lance McCullers, Mike Fiers, another guy they brought over in a trade this season with the Brewers, they're going to have to step up and pitch well in this series if they make it to the series, obviously, against the Royals here. Or if it's the Yankees also beat the Royals 4-2 in their season series. The Yankees are 42-39 on the road as well, so they're a better road team. So the fact that the Royals have home field advantage, it doesn't mean as much to the Yankees as it would to the Houston Astros, obviously. But outside of Tanaka, like I said, they don't have the greatest pitching staff. Tanaka, he's only going to be able to pitch one game in this series if the Yankees make it this far. Outside of that, Luis Severino, he's pitched well with 2.89 ERA, going 5-3, but he's doesn't even have a full season under his belt, no playoff experience, so you can't completely trust him, but he will be pitching because it's either him, CC Sabathia, who has a 4.73 ERA, he's a drunk, obviously.
Rehab,
yeah. Michael Pineda, he has a 4.37 ERA, he's 12-10 this season. Those are the four guys that are going to be pitching for the Yankees if they make it past the wild card game, and that's just not a rotation I see going deep into the playoffs.
A-Rod, baby. He's going to pitch for him. Did you see Suzuki pitched Ichiro? He pitched an inning the other day.
Did he? No, I didn't.
I forget who he plays for now. I just noticed, I was reading an article, and he threw an inning's worth of ball. Love that dude.
But, I mean, if you look at the Kansas City Royals, too, I mean, it's not like their rotation is beast from top to bottom either. They got Johnny Cueto. They brought him over at the trade deadline, obviously, a 3.48 ERA, but he is 10-13 this season. Then they have Yordano Ventura, who has a 4.08 ERA, Edinson Volquez, who has a 3.58 ERA. You just hate Volquez because he pitched for the Pirates, even though he's pitched well for 2 seasons now and is still one of the better pitchers on one of the best teams in baseball.
He looked like garbage in the most important game of the year for the Pirates, so...
Chris Medlin, he has a 4.01 ERA this season. He's not a guy that pitched all season either. He came into the season hurt. They brought him back. He actually started the season in the bullpen, but he pitched well enough where they started pitching him in the rotation as well. So you'll probably see him at some point in this playoffs. And then they could also pitch Chris Young as well. He has a 3.06 ERA, 11-6 this season. Not dominant by any means, but has had a real good season. But if you look, man, the Kansas City Royals went 11-17 in September, though they did win their last 4 games here in October. But they struggled here at the end of the season. And they're going to need Mike Moustakas and Kendrys Morales, Eric Hosmer. These guys need to step it up and play better baseball if they want to go deep into the playoffs here.
Yankees are going to beat them.
Of course. You said that 5 times.
Yep. Just making sure everybody heard.
I disagree. I'm going to say the Kansas City Royals win this series, and it's going to be the Royals versus the Toronto Blue Jays to see who goes to the World Series.
Fans, if you agree or disagree, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread and hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin if you don't want Dash to see you making fun of him.
All right, how about the National League Division Series? The New York Mets at the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Mets.
Great analysis, man.
Hey, that's
look,
it. That's
the
what
Mets
I'm here for.
won the series 4-3 against the Dodgers this season and outscored them 33-19. But they're only 41-40 on the road this season, and they're going to go into LA, and they're going to face Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw for sure. Probably one of them twice, and possibly both of them twice. In the Dodgers, they're 55-26 at home. One of the best home teams in baseball, obviously. Now, Greinke, he is a Cy Young candidate with a 1.66 ERA. Clayton Kershaw has a 2.33 ERA, and he's dominated over the second half of the season. Then they have Brett Anderson and Alex Wood. Alex Wood they brought over at the trade deadline from the Atlanta Braves. He's pitching okay. Brett Anderson pitching a little better. I'd expect them to go with Anderson before Wood, but you're going to see a lot of Greinke and Kershaw as much as possible anyways. But I mean, the New York Mets, their offense has been a lot better over the second half of the season. They were actually one of the worst offenses in the National League the first half, and then they traded for Yoenis Cespedes. He went on a tear over the second half of the season. They got David Wright back healthy. They got Travis d'Arnaud back healthy, and this offense really started to pick it up. And their rotation is no joke either. You look, Jacob deGrom, a 2.60 ERA. He was actually a Cy Young candidate for much of the season until later in the season here when Greinke and Arrieta really started dominating. And then Noah Syndergaard, a 3.24 ERA. This is a rookie. Matt Harvey, a 2.71 ERA. A guy that's coming off a Tommy John surgery from last season. He's had a very good season. Steven Matz, another rookie. He's 4.0 with a 2.27 ERA. He's actually had some back issues, and it's possible that maybe he doesn't end up starting. But they also have Bartolo Colon, who is a veteran, and he could give you some good innings here in the playoffs as well. He has a 4.18 ERA right now. I like both of these rotations, really. The Dodgers are more top-end heavy, while the New York Mets, they're more consistent from 1 through 5. But the New York Mets, I think they definitely have the better offense out of these two teams. I'm still going to say, with Zach Greinke and Clayton Kershaw, it's going to be so hard to beat this team in a series. And I'm going to say the Dodgers move on here.
Mets.
Yes, Mets. Mets. All right, how about the other divisional series in the National League, which would be either the Cubs or the Pirates, and it would take place in St. Louis against the Cardinals.
Cards.
Yes. The Cardinals, they're actually 15-16 over their final 31 games of the season here.
Like they were just resting, that's all.
Yeah.
Playing possum.
You'd think so, but you're dead wrong. Look, they've had a lot of injuries this year, too. And it hasn't really stopped. One of their best pitchers, Carlos Martinez, he went down for the season recently, and he would have definitely been pitching in the playoffs here if he was healthy. Now, their rotation still looks pretty good, though. John Lackey has a 2.76 ERA, Jaime Garcia a 2.43 ERA, Lance Lynn a 3.03 ERA, and Michael Wacha a 3.38 ERA. Now, Michael Wacha hasn't been pitching well over the last month or so, though, so don't be surprised if he gets lit up when he pitches here in the playoffs. But the other three pitchers have been pitching pretty well, and that's still a pretty good 1 through 4 for a playoff run. They won the season series over the Cubs 11-8, and they won the season series over the Bucks 10-9. But the Pirates actually outscored St. Louis 79-76 in those 19 games.
How much is Wainwright going to help out of the bullpen for the Cards? Can he actually give them long relief? Because, I mean, otherwise, they were already kind of set.
Yeah, they're so stacked in the bullpen. I really don't see him. I mean, he's going to help. He'll give you some good innings, probably. But it's not like they had a weakness in their bullpen, and now that they brought him in, they're going to be that much better or anything. Now, if they went into like an extra inning game maybe, and he could give them 4 or 5 solid innings,
right?
That's something a little different there, and I could definitely see him doing that because Wainwright has been an ace for many years. But the Pirates rotation, obviously Cole would have pitched in that wild card game, and if they make it through, Francisco Liriano is probably the guy that's going to start game 1.
That's what I'm hearing.
He has a 3.38 ERA on the season. J.A. Happ, I'm guessing, would start game 2. He has a 2.04 ERA with the Pirates this season. And then I'm guessing Cole would come back, pitch game 3, and A.J. Burnett would probably pitch game 4. He has a 3.18 ERA this season. Now, we know he pitched like an ace for much of the season, went on the DL after a couple bad outings. He's come back. He hasn't looked exactly like he had at the beginning of the season, but he still looks pretty good and deserves to pitch in the playoffs here, although the Cardinals have given him troubles in the past. So we'll have to see how that turns out if they do make it this far. But still, that's a good 1 through 4 for the playoffs as well.
I was hearing if the Pirates are up in the series against the Cardinals, they might even let Cole rest and let AJ pitch the 3rd game. But if they're down, then you're definitely going to see Cole come back on short rest.
I mean, they'd have to be up 2-0 in that series.
Right.
And I mean, that's going to be tough to do, but it's possible. But still up 2-0, I'd go out there, pitch Cole, and just get past that series. Get out of that series with a win and move on to either the New York Mets or the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, the Cubs, they would pitch John Lester in game 1. I'm guessing he would also pitch game 5 if it went that far. He has a 3.34 ERA on the season. And then after that, Jason Hamill maybe, or Kyle Hendricks in game 2. I'm not sure. Hamill has a 3.74 ERA. Hendricks a 3.95 ERA. Arrieta would definitely pitch game 3. I don't know who would pitch game 2, who would pitch game 4, who they would decide there. And then Lester would probably come back and pitch game 5 and then set Arrieta up to pitch game 1 of the next series versus the Mets or Dodgers if they would make it that far. But I'm going to say, since I'm taking the Pirates to win the wild card game, I'm going to say the Pirates beat the Cardinals as well, because I do not think the Cardinals will beat whoever they face in this series.
I can feel the yins just creeping through this segment.
Well, I'm more worried about that wild card game. I don't know. That's 50-50 to me. Cole got to match Arrieta, like I said, but whoever comes out of that game, I think is going to beat the Cardinals. The Cardinals are struggling right now. I think both of these teams are better offensively than the Cardinals. While the Cardinals were a little bit better with their pitching staff, they still had Carlos Martinez go down, and that really hurts for them. I just see the Pirates and the Cubs as better teams than the Cardinals right now, and whoever makes it is going to knock them out. And you're saying Cardinals win, right?
Cards.
All right, well, then it'll be Cardinals versus Mets. Mets win that, you're saying?
Believe it.
I'm going to say Dodgers versus Pirates. Probably, I'm going to say the Pirates win. Who cares? Yes, I'm a Pirates fan. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to beat Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke in a 7-game series. You're probably going to see both of them twice in that series. There's 4 games right there. You're going to face those two. But the Pirates, they did get the Greinke earlier this year, so it is possible. Who knows? As for the AL, the Royals beat the Astros. I'm going to say the Blue Jays versus the Pirates in the World Series, man.
Yankees, Mets.
Yankees, Mets. You in New York.
Just throwing it out there. That way, if I accidentally become right, I can pretend like I'm a genius. That's all the playoff baseball we got today.
Yeah, I think the best pitcher in the playoffs here, probably Jake Arrieta at this point for the National League. For the American League, David Price. So if I looked at it that way, it could be Cubs in the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series, and I could definitely see that happening. I would ask who the playoff MVP is going to be, but I don't even want to ask because it's stupid.
A-Rod, please believe. Then he's going to retire.
I hope so. Wrap it up.
That's it. That's all we got for you. Hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Keep coming back to YouTube and click and subscribe. Baseball fever.